weather day here in Galveston County. We're broadcasting live from Lamarck, Texas. I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. I'm going to kick this on the FM. We're going to have some fun. Feel free to share this out. Ask some questions. Let us know what you have going on today. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. I have Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center in studio. Dr. Chapa, how you doing? You got a big old box of fun and goodies there on the desk. How are you doing this morning?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. And I'm telling you, you said chilly weather, 47 degrees. It is definitely chilly. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. I don't know. I saw all my patients yesterday came in, and it was a wet jury day, so it wasn't really cold, but it was kind of cooler because there's no sunshine. And it was the first day since the spring forward time shift that I actually, it was 3:00 in the afternoon, and I didn't think it should be 6. And so I was like, it took me an entire week to acclimate, I think. Or I still haven't acclimated, and I just happened to have a cloudy day, and it was just a somber kind of dreary, dark day all day. And then now, here it is, 47 degrees. I'm thinking, man, I got to pull out all that, frosty weather. And, we are definitely weenies when it comes to cold weather down here in Galveston County, aren't we?
Yes, I am. I'm not really a big fan. I'd rather have it be a little bit warmer than colder. But
indeed,
it is what it is.
It's coming regardless. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, I'm with you. I like that's why we live on the coast, right? So that it's not cold and it's not cold long. So, but anyway, good morning. This is Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. We're excited to be a part of the show here in the broadcast that we do live with KHEA Radio, and we're thankful for the podcast that we have and all the different media streams that we have access to. You can just search us up, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. You can put in Dr. Aaron Chapa, and again, coming on the show every week, it allows me, one, to just organize a thought pattern for wellness and health and continue the voice and the message of hope that people need. There's a lot of people floating around out there that are sick. There's a lot of people floating around out there looking for answers to why their body's not performing at the level they want it to. And I had some interesting situations yesterday at the office regarding the body being in a diseased state or a state of dis-ease. And, there's so many places that people come in to see us. And when your body's not performing at its best, it can be a little bit intimidating, a little bit scary, especially if you can't seem to find an answer, right? So the show is designed for you to ask some questions. So if you got health questions, send them in. We'd love to, note those. Oh, Gardy's got one.
I have a question.
Yep.
I want to ask the first question. I'm going to see who's going to ask the second one. So feel free to ask. Dr. Chapa, you got a lot going on here on the desk. You got a big old toolbox. What's all in there? What do you have?
So this is my Dr. Chapa toolbox, and so I thought I'd bring it on the show because people have asked, what my supplement regimen looks like and how I organize my supplements. And I have done this many different ways, where I have taken the little Easy Dose packets at the Walgreens and sorted them out, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and put the entire exact regime in the pack, and I would lay those out for 6 or 7 days. I call that pill sorting. I've done it where I've carried bottles around. I've done it where I have put them in Ziploc sandwich baggies or snack baggies. I've done so many different varieties. The system that I typically always come back to because it's easy is the system that I use with the tackle box. The tackle box is just that, a tackle box, and I literally take a piece of paper, and I brought it the way it was, so there's nothing fancy about it. You can actually hold that. And I took and tore up a piece of paper, and I scribble all over it. And I put what the supplements' names are, and I put the dose that I need to take a day to remind me if it's a new product or what I'm kind of currently working on. And then I come over to my box, and if you let me see that little piece of paper, in the first box tray, and you can kind of like hold that up gently, would be like calcium, magnesium on the right side. And then organically bound minerals next door, and then AF beta food, and then Spanish black radish, and then mineral force, and then andrographis. And that is 6 products right there that at any given point in my day, that can tote around with you in a lunch kit. That can tote around with you in a purse. That could get to your office from your car very easily and effortlessly. And that is, a very simple way to tote around a lot of pills. And that's actually more than a day. That's several days. And then on the other side, I have 6 other products that, I sort the same way. And so I have Energy Force, Liver Force, Adaptocrine, Cataplex B, Core, Imuplex, and Cat C. So I can quickly just come over here and start grabbing my pill counts, and I typically do tablets first, and then I throw those back.
Tablets first, and then you do the ones that are, what are the other ones called?
Capsules.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, and then I'll do the capsules next. And the whole idea is just to make it easy. So like if I found, because I take handfuls of things all throughout the day, that it makes it easier to swallow whenever I don't have like a bunch of different textures mixed in at the same time.
Right.
And that's just what seems to have worked for me, because a lot of people the pills don't work in the bottle. You got to get them out of the bottle into your body, and then so figuring out what the methodology is. I mean, yes, I can swallow 20 capsules at one time or 20 tablets at one time, but that's unnecessary. It's a small handful here, makes a big difference. That's 6, pills, and then 6 tablets. I mean, my system's off and running. I've given my body energy from the B vitamins. I've given my body liver support from the Liver Force. I've given my body the AF beta food bile production. I've come in and stimulated the energy mitochondrial pathways to make sure that my system's up and running. By the end of the show, man, I'm not going to stop talking. You're going to have to just be 24 hours, choppy, 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 and you're going to be like, whoa, Chop, what's going on?
Let's do it. There is a question that has come in about supplements. It's from Soleon. She said, have you heard of the brand Coconut Cult? And I asked her, what do they do? And she said it's a website where you go fill out a questionnaire, and I guess they make like a custom package for you of supplements. Have you heard of any websites or brands that are doing stuff like that, and what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, so I have not heard of that particular brand, game, but so for doing the questionnaires, there's so many value. That's why we have our website the way we set ours up, is that it has questionnaires to help you start seeing how to assess yourself. I was just talking to a patient the other day or yesterday, and we're so conditioned to be busy that we have actually become disconnected on how our body is communicating. And we just accept the status quo of, I got a headache, or I've got a low energy, or I've got low or a brain fog, or I have a skin rash, or I've got acne, or I've got dandruff, or whatever your symptom is. And people go, I've had that my whole life. And I'm like, oh, well, that just means that nobody's taught you how to fix it. That means that nobody's taught you how to get to the underlying root of it. And so questionnaires are fantastic in giving insight to why the body's breaking down. And then a supplement regimen, again, quality is everything. I don't know. I'd have to do some research around that, but I'm assuming that it's probably, not terrible, right? But I love the concept, and I would always steer people back to the concept that the majority of any program that they're on needs to be a food-based protocol. And then we supplement with food-based supplements. And then when we need like acute care or something to make a fast impact because we're overly stressed, or we're burning the candle at both ends for a season, and we're going into that hustle and bustle type season, you may need to up your B vitamin intake or your mineral uptake so that your body doesn't run dry. So it's a good question.
I have another question. This is from me. What are you drinking?
Oh, this is Dandy Blend. Dandy Blend is a dandelion coffee alternative, and works really great on a kind of a chilly day. It's like a warm tea, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for real coffee drinkers, they will tell you it's not coffee. But at the end of the day, by a couple days into it, they go, you know what, it's not too bad. It smells good. When it's nice and hot. Mine is not hot. I'm just doing mine cold. But you can put some cinnamon in it. It kind of changes the aroma. If you don't like cinnamon, you could do a little vanilla. Vanilla beans always good for things. And so, but the dandelion is very good for the digestive system. It's very good for the liver and the bile production pathways in the liver. And you know how I like and feel about the liver and digestion. It's
yes,
important.
definitely do. Okay, here's a question that's come in, and I've often wondered this myself. They ask can Chapa talk about kidney stones, how to avoid them, and the process of passing one.
Oh yeah, painful. So kidney stones are an interesting dynamic, and they're basically when everything is going to come back down to digestion. And so if your digestive tract is slow and sluggish, your portal vein that feeds back into the liver for reprocessing, the body's not going to leave toxins in the bowel. And it's going to find an alternate route, and it's going to route that back up through the liver and to be reprocessed. But the liver's not dumb. It's going to say, I've already done this work once, so it sends it elsewhere to a different department, and it starts sending things over towards secondary exit channels, and it could send it through the high sinus, ears, nose, throat. It could send it out the lungs, asthma, wheezing, air hunger, upper respiratory. It could send it out the skin, so your acnes and your skin issues of all kinds, dry skin and eczema, psoriasis. It could send it through the kidneys, and then you start seeing high blood pressure. You see low energy. You see swelling in the joints, pains in the joints, and then your body. When it's sending this stuff over to the kidneys, it can be very acidic, and because these are toxins that need to be, in this case, maybe pooped out instead of peed out. But it's reprocessed into a way that the kidneys can handle it, and that's a good thing. But it still is very acidic, and so that can create irritation and cause urinary sluggishness, just like in the bowel. And anything that gets sluggish, that doesn't flow well, accumulates, coagulates, and it starts to form potential stones. These can be calcium stones, oxalate stones. I mean, there's different styles of stones out there. It could be because people are taking the wrong type of calcium. They're taking calcium carbonate, which is a fake form. I don't want to say a fake form. It is a bound form of calcium that is as good as sidewalk chalk or the seashells that are on the sea. And you can't digest that. I mean, I don't know about you, but if your kid picked up a seashell, you would not let them eat it. And I would not either. Although I might have been one of those kids that might have nibbled on a little chalk just to see what it tasted like. So sorry about that. But at the end of the day, I mean, experimentation. My good Watson, experimentation, right?
Right.
But the calcium calcium carbonate in the form of a supplement, and you see this in a lot of over-the-counter mega bottles. I mean, you've seen those 5,200 pills of calcium and magnesium and D mixed together, and they're they're so big you got to chisel them down into something you can bite size. Those are typically a cheap synthetic form of calcium, and when you put synthetic form of anything in your body, magnesium, calcium, iodine, and trace minerals of sorts, they sound good on the label because at the end of the day, you can't argue with the idea that minerals are good for you, except that the way they're delivered matters. If I delivered a safe to your front door, or if Amazon delivered a safe to your front door and it had a padlock on it, or one of those fancy locks that it's like a safe. It can be burned, it can be shot. It ain't going to open up unless you have the right combo to make it usable. For which is inside. Calcium carbonate's one of those things that you have to have perfect, stellar, amazing digestion in order to break it down. So you have a tendency, when this stuff starts to accumulate and coagulate in the kidneys, create these little stones, crystallizations. And they're not like smooth stones like David picked up to slay Goliath, okay? These are like stalactites. These are like very sharp, jagged, rigid. They got little fine teeth on it. I mean, they're like little crystallizations, and you would not want to rub it on your skin, much less squeeze it through your kidneys, with the intricacies and the amount of activity that's going on in the kidneys. I mean, think of a very crowded area, and then somebody's walking through with spikes all over them. The neighboring people are going to get whacked and jump back, and it's going to create disruption. And so, what we do is we come in and we will help the body melt those stones down by changing the calcium, magnesium, phosphorus ratios. And some people may not think that's possible, but that's okay. I've seen it done many a time. We do it all the time. And calcium, magnesium, phosphorus ratios help maintain a adequate use of calcium, and in this case, and all of a sudden we see the stones begin to melt down, because if phosphorus is out of balance, calcium's too high, we've got an issue. If magnesium's too low and even if calcium's low and phosphorus is low, you get all these low factors. It creates this coagulation and forming. So we want to help change. We might add phosphorus, which is phosphoric acid. And if you think of the old dirty, pipes commercial where they would pour Drano down the pipe, that is essentially what we're doing with phosphoric acid. Is we are putting a healthy amount of phosphorus into the system, which then converts down into this phosphoric acid, which can melt things that are in the blood flow of the kidneys out. Well, then we can dilate the ducts using different fruit products like rutin, for an example, or cranberry, for example, butcher's broom, hibiscus leaf, even dandelion has been shown to help. So I said it was more liver, and it is, but it has also been beneficial in helping kidney function more effectively, and that's opening and closing those ducts, and making sure that things flow more effectively. So we can come in and we can open up the channels, we can flush what loose debris is in there, so that, yes, stones are going to hurt regardless, but if you've got a gargantuan stone, and we can even tag team sometimes when they're really, really big, we'll have them go do the therapy to break that down and medically, and then we'll help the body pass those stones more painlessly. It's not necessarily painless, but it is less pain than you would have had you gone, if you tried to pass something like that on your own.
Yes. Okay, here's another
it's a big question, but I mean, there's solutions.
Gotcha. All right, here's another question that came in. Again, reminder, feel free to ask questions and feel free to share this. Let us know what you have going on. And good morning to everybody who asked, said what they have going on, and good morning back to you. Here's someone said, I was talking to my friend recently about air purifiers for the home. What are your thoughts on all of that, and do you have any kind that you recommend in particular?
I might not be able to remember the brand that I use. I'm going to try to see right now if I can pull it up. But I definitely think, again, going back to our conversations in the past, that if we are to filter our water, because if we don't filter our water, we become the filter, we ought to consider filtering our air as well, because the air is not always that clean. And they have found that many times the air in the house is more toxic than the air outside, even on the days when you're getting the big alerts to what's going on in our environment. So when environmental allergens are high, when environmental toxins are high, your house, although still safe, is oftentimes more toxic. Why? Well, people paint all the time things in their house. People have the little smelly things in their house all the time. And all these things put off these fumes and gases, and we're sitting there breathing that in. Our beds are laced with flame retardant. A lot of our blankets have biochemicals on them, and so what happens is we're living in an enclosed environment, and we have such energy efficient homes these days that there's not a lot of breathing room for the house. So cleaning and purifying the air is an absolute. So you could take this a couple ways. What if you just simply once every couple years had your ducts cleaned? Well, that's not a bad idea, because at the end of the day, you dust the top of that refrigerator, right? You might do it every couple years, but that's the point, is it's accumulating waste over time. And yes, that's moving air, and it shouldn't accumulate as much, but it does. And so that could be a benefit. And I don't have a company particularly that I recommend to do that. I have used companies in the past, but also, I like the idea of simply putting a UV light in your AC system. And the UV light in your AC system will neutralize any contaminants and kill off tons of microbes, quick, fast, in a hurry, through the process of air passing over the light as it's coming into the duct system, and then it's distributed to the house. So you clean your ducts, have a UV light. Now all of a sudden your air is more like purified. it's very cleaned out, and the microbes are killed off, and the molds and spores are killed off and reduced significantly. So now when you're in your house for 8 hours at least, 10 hours at least sleeping, well, guess what? That is a very easily a way to maximize cleaner air to breathe, because air is the number one nutrient. You kind of sort of need it. Without it, we're in trouble. And so we always maximize that aspect of cleanliness. And so then, so is it the filter at the return that does it? No, not really. That's just airflow. Yes, it gets and catches the big stuff, and that's what it's designed to do. It's not enough, however. It would be like some of these cheap little pitcher filters in your refrigerator. You've got to up the ante, and you've got to get a better quality filtration system on your water, because, again, if you're drinking chlorinated water, you're putting so many chemicals in your body that it's just not healthy. Like, you just can't expect your body to ever be healthy doing that. And so knowing your sources of these contaminants is important, and air being the number one nutrient, we need to maximize our air quality. So that means, hey, right now, while it's nice and chill, turn your fire on, just kind of nice, and then open up the front of your house and the back of your house and let the wind just blow through, and let the air be cleansed and bring in some fresh air. And I mean, we have 6 humans living in our house and 4 dogs and 2 cats. We're like a zoo, so our door is open all the time. And so I'm in a different situation, but that doesn't mean my bedroom is getting good airflow and circulation. Crack a window. Now, I also have, and I believe it's called Pure Air, is what is the brand. It's what I see in my head, but I was trying to look it up real quick. I couldn't find it. But I'll look it up, and I'll have to see if I can get one of my team members to put it in the chat. But this device is basically a UV light for my bedside. And it takes care of my entire room and beyond. It does more than that, but it definitely says it's designed for my bedroom, and it has a big UV light inside of it, and it purifies and neutralizes the air right there by my bedside. And so that is a really nice tool that I've found effective, and it has a little white noise coming off of it, so it's not disruptive in any way, but you just kind of doze off and know that you're breathing clean, fresh air. And again, these UV lights sometimes need to be changed. That is a maintenance thing that you have to keep up with, but that's okay as well. And but just so that you know. But when you looking at a bedroom, for example, and it's closed off to the main doors of the house and where people are coming and going, and you're getting some of that fresh air in those areas, you can improve your nutrient, purity, air by cleaning the filter, just having a bedside unit that is UV based. And there's HEPA filters. I mean, there's all kinds of different types. And so I would potentially use different types for different medical situations. The ones that I just described would be I use that just for like a wellness plan. So, if you've got advanced issues, we might actually build you something different.
This is a question kind of piggybacking off of the air purifiers. Do you use, air humidifiers, dehumidifiers, and when would be the right time to use them?
I typically do not use those in my house, but not for any reason, because we don't really need them. But we do like the salt lamps, which the salt lamps kind of put off a way of cleaning the air and purifying the air as well. People have seen those salt lamps; those work really well, and they're good energy for the environment and for the plants that you might have. Bringing live plants in your house is absolutely one of the best things you could do, is get inside plants and learn to be a green thumb. I mean, yes, you're going to kill some on the front end. You're learning. You're going to overwater it. You're not realizing that it just needs an ice cube. Well, I don't have one currently, but my wife will bring home an orchid from time to time, and we follow the directions, and we kill it every time, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. But, give me some African violets, and I can grow those babies. So, but having house plants, although they need, tender love and care, can be absolutely one of the very best purifiers of your house, and I think even would, have an impact on how your I don't know if it would actually, it might a little bit change some of the humidity factor. It's really hard to compete when you have your AC unit drying the air and or the heat, drying the air so much. But in some respects, you could use a humidifier. I just typically don't.
Okay, here's another question that we have. I always get sick in the fall. Why is that? And I know we've talked about this before.
Sure.
October 31st. There's Halloween. There's a lot of candy going around, lots of sweets. The weather changes. What is it?
So, it is the weather changing. We go from wet, to cold, and then down here in Galveston County, we're always kind of up and down. Like we get like a winter blast for a week, and then we're back in shorts and sandals next week. But it's the sugar, it's the pastries, it's the processing of food that catches up to us. It's the late night party nights. It's the go hustle bustle that we wear our bodies down, and our nutrient demands have gone up. And we didn't meet the demands. And so one of the simplest things that we use in our office is called Immuplex. And Immuplex has the ability to rebuild the blood, the spleen, the liver, the lungs, and T-cell production from your bone marrow. Very powerful tool. And had a gentleman yesterday. He travels about 6 months out of the year, but when I see him in the quarters, he comes in and we work on different things throughout the months that he's gone. And Immuplex is for him and his wife. Yesterday was the conversation, just one capsule twice a day. It can help balance out your white blood cell count. It can help maximize T-cell production for whenever you do get exposed to a bug, and you don't have to call on Congoplex because your bodies go, oh, I got this one. And then, of course, if you do get sick, that is an indicator that your minerals are low, your calcium magnesium is low, and that potentially can cause your immune system to be always kind of behind the eight ball, a victim of the environment, a victim of what's happening at with at the expense of the weather. The weather should not make us sick. It shouldn't. The environment really shouldn't make us sick, although we're learning, more and more. It's the body's inability to get rid of the toxins that we're exposed to in the environment that is actually making you sick. And so what happens is when the weathers change and we get more comfy, we also stop kind of getting uncomfortable and going to the gym, going out for walks. We get stagnant. We also maybe indulge in a few more cocktails at parties and pastries and parties and candies at parties and pies at parties. And we really need to be thinking, taking a step back. And this is something I discovered just a few years ago because, I remember as a teenager in high school, I could eat like 30 slices of pizza at CC's Pizza, and I felt really proud of myself because the biggest football player on the team could eat 40, and I was not too far behind him. And of course now if I did that, I'd probably be in the hospital for a week, which I definitely don't want to do. But at the end of the day, people overeat. Right? People just flat out overeat, and they go, well, but I'm eating all the good stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but you were never designed to put a 16-ounce steak in your belly in one setting. That just got popularized by John Candy in The Great Outdoors in the 1980s film, right? And he had to eat that big old steak with the gristle on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it was like 20. I don't remember. It's huge. But anyway, funny movie. Let that one go. I just saw something in my head. But anyway, we overeat, and I look in the old records and research where these bodybuilders were talking about people overeating even in the 40s. So it's not like overeating. I mean, that was before like we magnified our food, supersized our food, and ate abundance. We could eat 2 burgers instead of 1. This is before all of that, and people were quoted as people overeat and overconsume, and so things just come flat out down to stagnation. We're less active, we indulge in the little things more than we frequently do, and we overconsume in the areas where we shouldn't or normally don't. Because we are like, what, I've worked all year, I deserve this, I owe this to myself. We rationalize about our bad behavior, and boom, voila, you've got a recipe for illness, a recipe for sickness. And then we have to come in and clean house. We have to get you to go back to the basics. Look at that food log. How many meals a day are you eating? How big are those meals? We have to go back and look, are you getting that water in? Are you taking, yes, you got a party Saturday night. Great, but what are you going to do all week long to prepare to make sure that when Saturday comes, you're not 4 days into a sugar binge, that you're not, 5 days into, oh man, I just didn't have time, inconvenience food, processed food, fake food. Remember, if you eat make-believe food, the best you'll ever get is
make-believe health.
Make-believe health, Gardy. I mean, it happens every time. And so the truth be told, we've got to keep that we got to keep that idea that we've got to be cognizant of how much food we're putting on our plate. So even when I go eat my big Thanksgiving dinner, I'm going to have a lot of food, and I'll probably still eat too much, but it's going to be small portions so I can taste a lot of things, even the dessert. Great question. Excellent question.
That's awesome. All right, so we have some more questions that have come in. And I saw one here. I'm trying to find it again. Oh, this one. Here we go. This one is someone asking about their kid. They said, my kid sleepwalks. What are your thoughts on that? What's up with sleepwalking?
Ooh, sleepwalking. Okay, before we do that, I've got a quick little commercial break. So tonight we have our holiday baking class. We want to invite you to come out to Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center's event center so that we can teach you how to leverage and use healthy sugars in your holiday baking. You will love this class. It's a phenomenal class. And you're going to learn a lot. You're going to get some recipes. You're going to get to taste some food. You're going to get to smell some food cooking. I mean, it is very exciting. I'm already getting fired up and excited about it for you. And so we definitely hope that you come and learn.
What's the cost? Is there any cost? What does it take to attend?
Just showing up tonight at 6:30 p.m. at 322 East Main Street in League City, Texas. And you can call our office, 281-554-8600 if you want to register and come on down. But you do not have to technically register. We'll take you at the door, and it is a free-to-you program. So just come on down and enjoy the evening and let us educate you and teach you. Also, would love to just remind people of our Black Friday sale coming up next Friday. We've got a really special, it really is a patient customer appreciation day. It's an opportunity where you can put your orders in. Now we've been filling orders all week. Obviously, you can't pick them up until Black Friday, and we don't do anything with anything till Black Friday. But we're getting those orders put together so that we can help maximize you guys' going into your health journey with the tools that you need to be the best version of you, which is a really cool thing that we have been doing for the last, 4 years now, 5 years. So anyway, hope that you guys attend tonight and indulge in our Black Friday Living Well specials. So back to sleepwalking. Here we go, sleepwalking. Sleepwalking is in the same is going to be in the liver realm. And what happens is a couple things. Is when there's a toxicity in the liver that the body can't process well, it draws a lot of minerals to it. And because toxins demand minerals. And so your body's not going to let just some random toxin float around and allow you to go through your day without an escort because they're not safe. It'd be like, I remember hall monitors. There was always a hall monitor that made sure that people leaving class weren't vandalizing the hallway walls while they were on their way to the potty. And so hall monitors are important. Well, minerals in some respects can act like hall monitors. And so we want these hall monitors to manage who's floating down, red blood cell lane in order to maximize how you're getting rid of toxins. And so when there's an excessive amount of toxins in the body bound up in the liver, typically due to people being just flat out dirty bowel syndrome or sluggish or constipated, the liver uses up all these minerals, and your brain can't get into a deep sedative state. And so we will feed and work on the liver to help maximize the process. We'll clean out the bowels to help maximize the liver drainage ability, and then we'll remineralize the person in order to help the brain go deeper into a sedation state where they're not up moving around. So sleepwalking is minerals, liver, and bowel, but we know that it's going to be a toxic issue where these toxins are floating around unattended in the body, get lack of minerals, and they hyperexcite the brain, the parts of the brain that are that you're reflexive, and you can find yourself up and moving around, and I don't want to say cooking a meal, but roaming the streets. Even I've heard some extreme cases. But if we can get the minerals up high enough, that person will sleep deep. This is the same with people that have very vivid dreams. Vivid dreaming is another aspect of a liver congestion mineral issue, and so we can come in and calm that system down simply by remineralizing, decongesting the liver, and opening up and pushing the bowels. So that is where I would start. Now, there's probably more to this story. They may be trying some things. They may not have tried it long enough, or maybe they're not trying the right thing, but we want to hear that story. See, when you come in, we're going to listen to that number one symptom, sleepwalking, but then we're going to get under that. And what we want to see under that is, all right, do you get headaches too? Do you have floaters in your eyes? Do you have allergy eyes? Do you have red eyes? Do you have cramps in your feet, arms, legs, or hands? Do you have issues with palpitations or heart issues, challenges? Do you have challenges with reflux, indigestion, bloating, or gas? Do you have challenges with joint pain or arthritides, or do you have already dreaming issues and sleep issues? There's just a lot of questions that we want answers to so that we can help better serve the fundamental you, the whole person of you. So that is a great question, and all these questions, I'd probably come back with that statement is, this is what I would do, but this is what I would want, is I would want to get that history. I'd want to sit down and look the patient in the eye and say, okay, tell me the story. Let's listen to that story. Let's break that story down, because that's where the true magic secret sauce is getting into the story and listening and going, oh, there's a pattern. Oh, there's a pattern. And then I know the pattern, and I've seen it so many times, it just shows up symptomatically different, but the cause is oftentimes similar. So another great question.
All right, here's a question, and this one I'm curious for myself as well, since I have a newborn baby as well. So what supplements do you recommend I keep on hand for my newborn baby to help them through flu season?
Okay, so newborn babies, the simplest thing is mama's breast milk. That would be the number one. Let's say that you're a mom that is breastfeeding, and you want to improve or enhance the immunity of the milk. You would take things like Congoplex, Imuplex, calcium magnesium powder, Cataplex C, to help maximize your nutrient delivery of the milk supply that you're giving your kid. That would be the easiest way to maximize the kid's immunity, and recognizing that they don't even form antibodies during the first year. So you really just want to keep their digestion moving healthily, and you want to be pouring nutrients in so that their body can absorb it. So I would even say I have a product called Femax, which is like a blood-building herbal that helps iron levels, balance out, oxygenate the tissues, maximize nutrient delivery, and we would use that as a liquid, and I'd even just stick that straight in a child's mouth. Or let's say that they got sick, and what do you do then? I'd give calcium magnesium powder, which is a white powder. I'd just take a little fingerful of it, stick it on the inside of their cheeks, and they would kind of gum it around, and then they would swallow it down. You could even put a little eyedropper of water, shoot that in so they can help that swallow down easily. And I would totally do that, even with fevers or chills or achiness or flu-like symptoms, because the body just needs the calcium magnesium for a couple reasons in a child and an infant. Number one, they're growing, and they're growing quite astronomically. I mean, how old is your baby now?
7 weeks.
And is the baby bigger than when the baby came out?
Oh, yes.
I mean, so from a standpoint of growth and development, there's something that you can't control. This baby keeps elongating. It's like you're sticking fertilizer on them. And right now, to do that, the body makes it look easy, but the body does that through nutrient repletion and nutrient necessity. So the body takes the nutrients it needs from wherever it needs it, and so you can create deficiencies in one area if we're not mindful. So we want to make sure that we supply basic building blocks. I have a couple liquid herbal product, liquid vitamin products that we could take dropperfuls and just give droppers of, called Intramax, Intramin, 415 different ingredients that you'd be potentially giving your kid in a liquefied form in order to help their nutrient intake go up. And we would start slow, seeing like how a 7-month-old would respond to such a thing. And of course, if there is fever and chills and flu and the achy and you can't get that to stop, well, calcium, magnesium first and foremost. Sesame seed will pop that little pill open and squeeze that into the child's mouth. I've even taken that, squeezed it on a saucer, like a little plate, and then I put a little bit of the calcium magnesium powder. I'll open up a capsule of Congoplex, and I will finger that around on the plate, and then I'll shovel that in the kiddo's mouth. And what that does is that helps the child get more nutrients in faster. Well, they're a newborn. I don't think they really need that. Well, no. They if they're sickly, if they have symptoms of sick, they could benefit from the immune system going to the gym and learning how to fight this fight. So if you give the tools to the body to go fight the good fight, it will learn sooner than it would have if you didn't give it the right tools. Or worse, the body now starts pulling nutrients from growth and development, and now we limit a growth span. So what if like the kid has the IQ potential of super high, but they miss their mark because they didn't develop well in their youth because they lacked minerals? Let's say they were supposed to be 6 foot and they're only 5'8" because they missed their mineral needs during growth and development. So in a growth and development mindset, a growth and development body structure, the system as a whole begins to evolve if the nutrients are there the way God designed it. And it's less likely capable of keeping up with the demands of its potential if it lacks the resources. And so we come in and we will help you figure that out. So we have tons of ideas. We have homeopathics, we have powders, we have liquids, we have all kinds of ideas to help sick kids, sick babies, infants get well, stay well, and teach mom and dad how to take care of them at their best.
I know you talked about first and foremost breast milk being the thing, and so the mom eating, I guess, like good, healthy, nutrient-rich foods to be able to give the baby that, pass that on. I mean, that works in the opposite if they eat foods that aren't.
Yeah,
rich.
So that's true. So I've had patients come in and the kid is sick all the time and they can't figure out why, and it's because mom is on milk, and the baby's allergic to the milk. And so every time mom drinks the milk, mom doesn't notice anything problematic with her tummy or her allergies or her lymph nodes, but the baby is mucousy and struggling. Or it could be gluten, or it could be nuts, or it could be steak. You're kidding me? I've seen A-blooded babies not be all constipated because mom keeps eating steak because she's O-blood and she handles it, or B-blood and she can handle it. So knowing a little bit about yourself and your own health history, and a lot of times when moms bring in infants for care, we really need to talk to the mom. We really need to talk to the dad. We really need to get them on boards with the program in order to maximize their child's dietary needs. So, hey, and it doesn't mean forever. It might just be for the next 3 months. It might be for the next month, depending on when they come in and where they're at in the growing cycle. Another excellent question, because it's not a one and done. Well, I can't eat meat anymore because when my mom was breastfeeding me, she said it constipated me. Well, okay, that might be true, but I mean, your digestion system is immature until 26 months. Gardy, that's 2 years, 2 months. That's a long time to be on the planet to make a open-ended claim that you can't ever. I don't ever want to tell anybody they can't have ever, but I definitely know that there is truth to people that have sickly kids, refluxy kids, colicky kids, and the foods that they're eating or being fed through the breast milk that mom is eating. So you got to really think about that. Great question. As a follow-up.
Yeah, that reminds me of a couple different things, but I'm going to go ahead and ask because there's a lot of questions that have come in, so I want to make sure I ask as many as possible. Here we go. Okay, almost every morning, one of my kids sneezed several times a few minutes after they wake up. What does this mean?
Liver did not keep up with its demands overnight. Bowels did not kick between 5 and 7 or within the first hour waking up. And because the bowels did not move and kick, they're carrying around extra toxins in their lymph system, and the body will find an exit strategy. So in this particular child's case, they need more liver support bowel work. We've got to clean up their bowel. So we go back to their diet. What are they eating typically for breakfast? Oh, they eat waffles, syrup, and cereal. Okay. And then what do they eat for lunch? They eat spaghetti and bread or a grilled cheese sandwich. What do they eat for dinner? They eat pizza or a burger from a fast food chain with some big old Frenchy fries and maybe a little milkshake. And we wonder at that point in time why their liver's congested and their body just has a hard time keeping up with with that toxic burden. And maybe it's not that bad in your home, and maybe you eat perfectly. So okay, could you still have a slower than normal operating bowel system and therefore making your liver slow, even if you eat perfect? Well, yeah, of course. I've learned with my own body that, like, if I were to kind of dissect, okay, my digestive tract as a freeway. So we got 45 mile marker X, right? So in Galveston, I believe it's 0, and then down here, I don't know what the number is, but it's like
13.
Okay, so so we're 13 miles from the coast. We are the same way. The coast would be the outlets, okay? And so let's say that, at the mouth it's 0, and then as you go through the system, let's just say that it's 28, mile markers. You, Gardy, could have an issue at mile marker 15, and I could have one at mile marker 27, which is going to create a different level of symptom patterns for you and I. And that's what we start to see. So in this case, this child could have, say, mile marker, say, I'm just throwing one out there, mile marker 15, right in the middle, where the liver's dumping a lot of nutrients in, enzymes in to digest fats, proteins, and carbs. And then at that juncture of time, that is backlogging, and it's really slow at that mile marker. There's a traffic jam, there's a wreck, there's something bogging it down, and it makes itself manifest at that mile marker 15 in the sinuses. And so if we can clear the bowel, we can clear those sinuses, and that body won't use the sinuses at the sneezing rate to drive it through that toll booth. And so now for me, it happens at, say, mile marker 25, and I get a headache in the base of my skull, or I feel tension, lots and lots of tension at the base of my skull. That is a suboccipital headache, and that suboccipital headache is a digestive headache. It always is. If it's left side, it's left side congestion. If it's right side congestion. If it's in the middle, it's location. It's at which mile markers it's showing up. So if you got that tension back there. And so we listen to those symptom patterns. The sneezing first thing in the morning every morning is a liver that is backed up because at mile marker 15, the bowels are slower at mile marker 15 than they normally are. And so that might be why some days that child can get away with not having a sneezing attack or go out in the sun and not have a sneezing attack. But by other means, they struggle because their system is sluggish and bogged down at those different mile markers.
When I wake up, I don't sneeze, but I do always have to blow my nose. Is that the same? Or?
No, you should still be able to make it. Okay, so when you're sleeping, you're parallel, right? So you're not wiggling your tailbone. You're not getting that cerebral spinal fluid movement pumping mechanism that activates your lymphatics, that maximizes that flow of trash, waste, and debris through your system and moving towards to the exit strategy or the processing plant, the liver and the kidneys. So we see that, and then if your sinuses are congested in the morning, every morning, I would say going back to our air filter situation, are we purifying our air? Okay, we are. Check. Are we eating mucus-forming foods? Are we eating inflammatory foods? I was looking at a stool test yesterday, and it showed, their gluten, anti-gliadin markers were off the rails. So I went back and looked at the old one we did a year ago, and guess what? The gluten was off the rails. I said, "You're eating gluten." And she goes, "No." I said, "The test doesn't lie." I mean,
The poop doesn't lie.
That's right. In this case, the poop tells the truth.
Yeah.
And we went down 2 markers more, and we see massive inflammation from the foods that she's eating. Then we go down 1 marker more, and we see a leaky gut, meaning she's got perforation holes in her digestive lining that is allowing undigested microorganisms, metals, chemicals to penetrate across into the bloodstream, creating irritation, inflammation, and bogging the system down. And that could, in and of itself, the body could say, whoa, I can't use that as a pathway. I'm going to use the liver. I'm going to back it up into the liver, back it up into the lymph, and it now rests in the head. And then you get vertical, and your sinuses get, draining once you get up, start moving around, drinking some water. And that's why when we wake up in the morning, one of the best things you could do is drink 8 to 12 to 16 ounces of water. Guzzle that stuff. Make sure it's a clean, purified, clear, filtered water, and guzzle it, and wake up the body. That'll be a great way to just wake up the tissues, and see if you do that for 2 weeks. Simply add water and see if you don't notice a change in your sinuses or see a change in sneezing attacks. And you're thinking, all right, well, that's a lot of water for my kid. You start with, a cup. Start with, what they were willing to chug down. That big water push first thing in the morning, anything that's dry, anything that is kind of sluggish will get pushed really hard by a big old weight bolus of water, and that will help move that down the line. And what if you ate something 3 days ago that's stuck at mile marker 15, causing all that liver baggage? And if you drink that big old gusto of water, this morning or yesterday morning or tomorrow morning, and you push that rock down, it slides, 3 or 4 mile markers in the digestive tract. Then you might have a new symptom, but at least it's out of the way. Or what if there is nothing and there's no traffic? You ever gotten through the traffic jam, and all of a sudden
there was nothing? What was holding up everything, right?
Yeah, you say to yourself, that is bizarre.
Right.
And I just think we can't see anatomically inside of our tissues. It'd be great if we could. I can go poke around and palpate and feel and get a feel for what I'm noticing. But at the end of the day, you can't see inside yourself. And if you're not astute enough to learn how to poke and prod on your body to find where your ails are, and then know how to maximize the excretion rate, then you need help.
It reminds me of those memes where there's a guy either mining for diamonds, and then there's 2 guys, and one kind of stops and he's right there at the breakthrough, but then someone else kind of just doing their race, doing the best that they can with the knowledge they have and learning, and you get that breakthrough, and then at the end it's wow, this is way better than before.
That's correct. Mm-hmm. And it's not, it's more airy, it's more rich, it's more freedom. Yeah, totally. And so, at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, our number one goal is to find the underlying cause of the diseases that people are dealing with. We want to teach people how to live better, be better, and stay better through food, because food matters. And what you put in your mouth day in and day out will make or break you. It will cause your body to feel great, or it will tear your body down. Whew. We can't have that. You know what I mean? So here we are going down into the holidays, and we know that it's easy to overindulge. So just last, kind of to do before we shut down the show today. One, a reminder, tonight's holiday baking class, 6:30 p.m. at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. That's at 322 East Main Street, or you can give us a call at 281-554-8600. And then our upcoming Black Friday special. You definitely want to take advantage of that. We have people that spend, a good amount of dollars in our office. So this opportunity to take advantage of a discount on all your supplements is an absolute win. And so we definitely want to encourage you to, be on a program so you can take advantage of that offer. And then lastly, going into the holidays, going into the hustle and bustle of the stress season, make sure that you have stress supplements, Adaptogrin, Mintran, Nevaton. That's my trio. It works every time. It's like Novocaine. Just give it time. It always works, but no drugs. It's pretty awesome. Then secondarily, make sure that you have Zypan, and make sure you have Enzicor at the table. This is digestive enzymes. This is stomach acid support. This supports your belly. This supports the way that your body breaks down food and maximizes the absorption rate, maximizes the delivery of the nutrients in the system when the system is, being overfed. Because I know some of you might still be in the overfeeding category. But then inventory it. Just log it. Put it on a food log. Look at what you eat. Take it inventory and go, I didn't need 7 slices of pizza. That was a little bit extreme. Yeah, I should have given that one to my daughter when she said she wanted that.
She said she was hungry, and I was like, I'm hungry.
I'm hungrier. And so anyway, it is this idea that if you know there's a party this weekend, be mindful of what you do this week to get ready for it, and then bring those enzymes alongside you so that you can break down that food, that meal. I oftentimes always pull out a bottle of Zypan and Enzicor, set it on the table, share it with the friends as we
at the
break
holiday
bread.
party.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if they can break down the food better, I mean, nobody can contest the reality that they're overeating. And so, therefore, if I offer a digestive aid, a support, if you will, all of a sudden the body gives that support and or gets that support and then breaks down the food, maximizes the nutrient delivery, and voila, game time. And so, at Living Well, we are solution finders. So no matter what health issue you're dealing with, no matter where you're at on the health journey, if you're not proud of the place you are currently, if you need some additional insight, if you just want to take your wellness to a whole new level of energy, vitality, and longevity, give us a call because we have support programs that will maximize the optimization of true wellness in your life today. And when's the best time to plant an oak tree, Gardy?
Right now.
Yes.
Well, a long time ago.
50 years ago.
Yeah.
But the next best time is right now, because today, and I was just, talking, listening to my pastor speak the other day about a now type faith. And, I want to claim that now like faith over you and your family over the holidays, and that you are not stuck in, wanting, but you're reaching for new knowledge, new insight, new direction. And just like my dad called me to be a generation jumper, I call you guys to be a generation jumper in your health and live better than your upline. Live stronger than your upline. Be more active than your upline. Like your kids want you to be. Your family needs you to be. Your life you'll enjoy more aspects of life if you start getting the dude grooving today by staying moving. So there's so many facets of health and wellness that we offer at Living Well. We will teach you and grow you, develop your mind so that you can tackle challenges that come at you day in and day out. So God bless all of you. We're so excited for those that are tuning in, that tune in every week. I always get excited with the questions that y'all are bringing to the table. Y'all are starting to get the hang of it. I'm enjoying the fielding of the question. Y'all are keeping me sharp and making me better. And so far, we'll keep doing the best we can and answering questions and enjoying the time together. So God bless you all. May the Lord continue to shine His beautiful, wonderful, lovely face upon you. And we'll see you guys tonight at the Holiday Baking Class, 6:30 p.m. at Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center.
This is KHEA Radio.